Hey guys, so a few months ago, I don't think I posted in this channel, but my son got really sick. We live in New York, New York State, and it was September. He had to be hospitalized. It was not a life-saving hospitalization, but nevertheless, he's 2 years old, and he had to be hospitalized for up to 3 weeks in the hospital. And the first thing I remember, the nurse came out and told us when we set up the room and everything for him. She said, "You guys are really lucky. Had this happen to your son in the spring or early summer, they wouldn't have taken him in. We would have had to stick it out at home." The reason for that was because coronavirus was hot. It was surging in New York at that time, spring, late winter, spring, and early summer. And she said there was no hospital beds for him. There's no way possible he would have been able to be treated in hospital. And because he got treated at the hospital, he's home with us. He's back at school. He's doing much better. But I thought about that, and I was like, wow, this is real. That's the way when people say, how did coronavirus affected you? I saw someone mention on social media, and I said, well, my stepbrother may have had it and died. He died in February early on from complications that was very, very similar to coronavirus. He died, I think it was kidney failure, and he had some stuff in his lungs. But he was chronically sick throughout his entire life. He's an older guy, almost 50. And he died of, I believe it was kidney failure. But the way it happened, the symptoms were very coronavirus-like at the time. We didn't understand it at the time, but my dad suspected that it was that. But I thought about that. I was like, wow, you know what? I didn't even make the connection, but that's the way coronavirus affected us. Had my son been sick early in the year, he probably would have died, basically. Not directly from coronavirus, but indirectly because the health system was overloaded. There was no place for him in a hospital at the time to get treated. Today is Thanksgiving, and in a way, I'm thankful for that. If you're talking about Thanksgiving and a day to be thankful for things, I'm thankful that my son was able to be in hospital, and we even had health insurance to have him in hospital for 3 weeks to be treated and sorted out. Now, I saw my cousin this morning who lives in Florida, and she said, "What are you guys doing?" She called me. She's from the UK, she's from London, but she married a Floridian, staunch Republican Floridian. This guy, he's in law enforcement, Trump supporter, what have you. And they're having, she said, about 15 people over from random places all over Florida. They live down in Fort Lauderdale by Miami. And I was like, what? And she goes, what? You guys aren't celebrating Thanksgiving in New York? Two things happened there. There's a massive disconnection between Americans, state to state. She's having Thanksgiving dinner with friends, not family. These are 15 friends from wherever, friends from work, friends that she met at the mall. I don't know who these friends are coming into her house. They're not going to wear a mask. They're not going to socially distance. And that's her kind of reality right now. And then when I told her, yeah, I'm actually driving to my mother's house. We can't even go to my mom's house. My mom lives in Brooklyn. I'm driving to my mother's house to get dinner to bring back to my family of four, my wife, my daughter, my son, so we can eat in our little bubble. My mom is going to have Thanksgiving with just her best friend. My dad is going to be there. And we can't have dinner with them. And she goes, what? That's absurd. The first thing she said, that's absurd. That you guys should be having dinner with your mom. The kids should be with the grandparents. And I said, no, our government restrictions have it restricted to, I believe, 4 people in-house. That's not family and just immediate family members. If you have more than 4 people, it has to be people living in the house. And that's our kind of current state lockdown Thanksgiving Day 2020 in New York. I believe New Jersey has similar restrictions, and other states around us have similar restrictions like Connecticut and so forth. And she thought that was absurd. And she goes, you guys need to go down to your mom and celebrate like you always do. And my mom is known within the family for having big Thanksgiving dinners at her house. She cooks, she caters, she does everything. So my cousin was really sad and angry almost at me because we were not going to my mother's house. And then same token, I'm talking to my wife. My wife overhears the conversation. She goes, wait a minute, she's having people over today? And I was like, yeah. It's like, and then my wife remarked that, in Florida, a lot of people are dying from coronavirus lately. They're like surging now or about to surge. And I was like, yeah, I don't understand it, but she thinks it's safe. She thinks it's not going to affect them. And then what really depressed me, not because this is my cousin, I love her, and she's literally one of the most sensible people I grew up around. She's older than me, about 10 years my senior, and she's one of the most sensible people I grew up around. When we lived in London, we lived in New York, she was in New York with us. She even babysat me for a bit when me and my brother were younger. We went to summer camp in Europe, and she kind of chaperoned us when we were kids, and I always looked up to her, and she's like one of the smartest people I know, one of the most sensible person I know. And I don't understand. I'm so confused. And she sent me this video. She goes, you gotta check this video out, because people around the world are uprising and protesting against these lockdowns and these coronavirus restrictions. We need to be free. We need to do what we want to do. Businesses should be open. And she also has her own business in Florida that she does in addition to her profession in finance. And so she's on this kind of Donald Trump bandwagon of opening everything, don't wear a mask, have fun. And I did speak to her throughout the year. It's not like I didn't speak to her all year. And I remember in Memorial Weekend, I believe it was one of her kids' birthdays or her birthday, they were doing a birthday celebration. And I was talking to her. She sends me this video, and she has a big backyard. She had people over, about 10 people in her hot tub. I didn't even know these people. I've known my cousin my entire life. I've visited her. I know her friends. I know people she hang out with. These were like people I've never seen before that were in her hot tub, hanging out with her, no mask, in mid-coronavirus New York, when we're locked in. We're washing vegetables and groceries like it's been nuclear radiated. It's so funny. And she's in a hot tub with like strangers, basically. And I just freaked out. I'm like, what are you guys doing? She goes, oh, well, we don't have coronavirus down here. It's not really bad here. And back then, she was right. They didn't have coronavirus like we had it. But so she sends me this video, and I was like, I look at these protests in the UK, in Liverpool, in London, and these Million Mask March that they do. I think they do this annually. They do these marches. But this year, the theme was no lockdowns, and I was so surprised to see all these people against lockdowns, and I just lost all hope in humanity. I'm very, very disappointed, and it's just so selfish to think that coronavirus doesn't affect me. I can't get sick because I'm young and healthy. I'm not gonna get sick. I'm not gonna die. I look at numbers. It's only like 1% of the population that's gonna die from this. So why should I stay home? Why should my kids stay home? Why do I have to close my businesses down? It's gonna go away. Let the 1% die. I think that's very selfish. In a point where I could sit here and literally say, you know what? Fine. It's not gonna kill me. I'm gonna go do what I want to do. Wear a mask. Have fun. It's not gonna affect me. But it did affect me, and I didn't even think about it. Right? It did affect my son. Could have died as a result of not getting a hospital bed. If the fates had it that he got sick a couple months before he did, my son would have been dead. So it kind of does affect me in an indirect way that I don't really. If I didn't think it out, if I wasn't smart, if I wasn't maybe college educated and was taught to see things 360 out the box, if I wasn't taught to realize reality from outside my vision, I wouldn't have seen that. I wouldn't have seen like my son could have died simply because we were partying and having a good time, right? New York did what we had to do. We locked down for the spring and most of the summer. We still kind of locked down partially, and because of that, my son was able to get a hospital bed in September, and it saved his life, right? He got treated because his bed's available, and that haunts me, that stays with me. And when I see these people marching against lockdowns, against wearing a mask, and now with the vaccine, it's going to be soon, next year, we'll be seeing these idiots marching against vaccination, right? Vaccination, right? Remember polio, remember smallpox, remember all those nasty diseases from the 20th century, right? Guess what happened to them? Guess why we don't have to worry about polio and the poxes? Because of vaccination, right? I guess where those anti-vaxxers are that was probably marching against polio vaccinations and smallpox vaccinations. Guess where they are? They died. They're not here with us, right? So this new wave of anti-vaccine is just going to be, it's going to be more dangerous than not wearing a mask. Right? I get the flu shot. I don't do the flu shot. I do not believe in the flu shot. I'm the only person in my family, in my household, that do not get the flu shot. I don't believe in that. That's a different vaccination, right? I don't believe in the flu shot for my different reasons. But a coronavirus, a virus that's killing people like daily in this country, right? I know the flu kills people, but I would not do the flu shot. You know, I believe in immune systems when it comes to the flu, right? But this coronavirus, if people are not going to take it and some people are going to take it, it's pointless to have a vaccine. It's so pointless, right? It's the same as climate change. It's the same as these other things where people only see their own self-interest in front of them. They don't see anyone else. I'm going to end it on this. We live on the Hudson River. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll see a lot of my backyard pictures overlooks the Hudson River. The Hudson River is below, in the distance from us. Well, literally across the street. And this river flows from way up in the Catskills, I believe. It starts as a little stream and it becomes the Hudson River, and it flows right into the Atlantic Ocean, past Statue of Liberty, past Ellis Island, past Staten Island, past the Jersey Shore, into the ocean. Starts a little trickling stream way up in the mountains. Yesterday, my daughter had a play date with a friend that lives in the Bronx, Riverdale, the Bronx. And when you drive to where we live, you come down the hill and you see the river from the highway. The highway's above, and you kind of come down to where the river is. And she saw the river, and she, in the backdrop, I'm going to put a screen cap on there. Backdrop, you can see the Palisades Cliff in New Jersey, and it looks beautiful. It literally looks like another country. And she remarked, mom remarks, oh my God, where you guys live is beautiful. And, you know, they visited us before, but not in the daytime. When you come, when the sun is setting, it looks different. It looks very majestic. And she goes, that river, like, what river is that? Like, that's so beautiful. And I looked at her, I said, that's the Hudson River. That's the same river that you guys live on. They also live on the same exact river. And I said, the same water flowing past us that's going to flow past you in an hour or so. It's the same river. And it just blew her mind that was her river too. And I said, yes, we all share this river. You know, even though your view of it might be different than my view of it. Where we live north of them. So at our point, the river is very narrow and, I guess, scenic. But when it gets to the Bronx in New York, it spreads out and becomes bigger and more. You don't see it as much, I believe. Also, you have like high rises and different things to distract you from the river. Where we live is just the cliffs, the river, and like houses, and it's spaced out. So it just like boggled her that it was the same river. And I was like, yeah, it's the same river. And I think that's how people see coronavirus and see the issues we're facing with climate change is going to be the next thing, right? Climate change. People only see what's in front of them, not realizing we're all connected. Even though this mother, they live about 10 miles downriver from us, the river looked entirely different from their perspective where they live compared to where we live. But if I poison that river, if we were living in, you know, not even that long ago, like tens of thousands of years ago when we lived off the land and they're drinking from that river, and I pee in that river and I poop in that river and I contaminate that river with whatever my waste, it would affect them. Even though from her perspective, she's seen an entirely different ecosystem, an entirely different like planet from her perspective, where I am. Even though the same water flowing past my feet, she'll be drinking from, you know. So we need to look at the world like that. Maybe we did back then, and we never did as a human species, but we need to look at the world like that. We're all connected. What I do on my land, on my property, on the river in front of me affects you downstream, on your property, on your, you know, on your land, right? It's all connected, right? And I know if you look at this economically, the rich, I don't even want to say 1%. That's just cliche and stupid. The people that don't care about you, the rich people, the Republicans that don't want clean water or clean air or health care, that don't care about you. Those people live upstream from you. They could put their feet in the water, they could pee, they could poop in the water, and they do not care if it kills you, if it affects you, if it blights your land. They don't care about that. Because all they see is, I don't know if it's myopically, all they see is what's in front of them, and they don't care about anything else, or they do care, or don't know how to care. I don't understand it. But I'm just leaving it on that note. Those people do not care about you. And my cousin's husband, in conversation, he mentioned, I heard him in the background, he goes, oh, is that what they're doing in New York? Well, I guess they need to be two Americas. Like, I don't know if a Republican came out and said it. I did kind of heard that floating around. Some people want two Americas. One blue, one red. One Republican, one Democrat. One liberal, one conservative. One white nationalist led, or, you know, Nazi. I don't want to say Nazi led, because they claim they're not Nazis, or claim they don't exist. But one on that side, one on this side, right? And my next video is going to be, which side of America do you want to live on? Do you want to be on the side without healthcare, digging for coal? You know, with minimum wage, making minimum wage? You know, with all the restrictions these conservatives want to place on you, but they claim a simple lockdown for a year and wearing a mask hurts their livelihood and hurts their lives. And yet a lot of these right-wing policies are all about restricting freedoms, restricting care, restricting benefits, restricting stuff our tax dollars pay for that should come back to us. That's what they restrict. That's a lot of what these Republican policies restrict. But when it comes to wearing a mask and me closing up shop for a couple of months, no, it hurts them, right? So I'm going to leave it on that, right? I know what side of America I want to live on. I want to live on the side with clean air, free energy, green energy, clean water, good schools, you know, and all the stuff that Democrats and liberals like myself want for people around me in my neighborhood. It's not just about me, it's about people around me, right? I could definitely take care of myself. But if my neighbors are hurting or dying and starving and don't have health insurance and don't have good education, it hurts me. It hurts me. Maybe not today, maybe not tonight, but tomorrow down the line, it will hurt me. That's how I see the world, guys. And, you know, I'm nothing really for me to be thankful for. I'm just very disappointed in the human race. I thought it was just America, but I saw these videos my cousin sent me. It's the UK, it's around the world. And I'm very sorry to be part of this human race, whether black, white, whatever. It's just sad, man. It's sad. Nothing to be thankful for, guys.